Chapter 134. Well, the protagonist of this book is a person who will not give up, so I will not give up either. Yang Kai, quickly come over and kowtow to Brother Xie and admit your mistake. A roar came from the other side. Yang Kai, Brother Xie is not willing to argue with you, but that does not mean that we will forgive you. If you do not apologize today, we will be your enemy from now on. We will not look at you as a junior brother anymore. That's right. This junior brother of yours is really shameless. His strength is inferior, but he actually wants to eat swan meat like a toad. He doesn't know his own strength. He doesn't even take a mirror to look at himself and see what kind of virtue he has. Not only did those senior brothers clamor, even one of the senior sisters joined in the crusade against Kai Yang, her voice sharp, like a shrew cursing on the streets. Yang Kai's expression was indifferent as he let these words blow past his ears. Lan Chudai pulled Yang Kai and whispered, "Junior brother, don't be stubborn. A man should know when to yield and when not to. Isn't it just an apology? It's not a big deal." Yang Kai turned his head and looked at Lan Chudai indifferently. This indifferent look made Lan Chudai's heart jump. She frowned and asked, "What's wrong? Don't tell me that you don't know the real intention of Xianxia. Don't tell me that you don't know what kind of treatment I will receive when I go there." Yang Kai's voice was slightly cold. Lan Chudai was annoyed. "How would I know about your matters? Although you and I are senior sisters, we have been together for a long time. We have been through difficulties together for the past few days. But there is no friendship between us. You don't have to feel guilty about leaving me here. You go by yourself. I don't need you to care about my matters." Lan Chudai's face turned white as she said angrily, "How can you be so ungrateful?" Stomping her feet, Lan Chudai no longer paid attention to Yang Kai. Instead, she walked towards Xianxia. After walking a few steps, she stopped and turned back. "I don't owe you anything. Don't be so aloof." After saying that, he didn't stay any longer. On High Heaven Pavilion's side, Yang Kai's words never stopped. A cold smile appeared on Xianxia's face as he stared at Yang Kai with a complacent expression. It was as if he was standing on top of the clouds, overlooking all living beings. In this situation, no matter what choice Yang Kai made, he would be happy to see it. "You want to join this team to protect yourself? Sure. Come here obediently and apologize, kneel down and kowtow. Unwilling to do so? That works too. You should explore this dangerous Heaven's Cave inheritance by yourself. Let's see how long you can live." Xianxia didn't know what to expect from Yang Kai. While they were waiting, Yang Kai's cold voice came from the other side, "A bunch of ignorant people who only know how to climb up the social ladder. This Yang won't keep you company." Lan Chudai, who was walking towards Xianxia, heard this sentence and could not help but stop. She always felt that Yang Kai's words were directed at her, and she couldn't help but feel humiliated and uncomfortable. But immediately, Lan Chudai felt bitter. How did he manage to climb up the social ladder and climb up the social ladder? This is a dangerous place. Naturally, it is safer to follow those with higher strength. Do you want to follow a junior brother who is only at the initial element boundary 7 stage? You don't know how to appreciate kindness, yet you blame others. If you have the ability, you should also increase your strength. Naturally, there will be people around you. At that time, even the senior sister will side with you. It's not like I didn't persuade you. I didn't really abandon you. This is the path you chose. How can you blame me? Thinking so, Lan Chudai's heart became more and more aggrieved, but the guilt she felt towards Yang Kai also lessened a lot. In the jungle, Yang Kai's figure gradually infiltrated the darkness. But that sentence was like sprinkling a handful of salt in boiling water. Nie Yong was anxious to see the world in chaos. "Yang Kai, you are presumptuous. You dare to speak to the senior sister and brother like this, and you still want to leave? Stay here." As he spoke, he threw a punch in the direction of Yang Kai's departure. With a bang, there was a burst of fire in the darkness, and Yang Kai's cold face flashed. Yang Kai's cold voice rang out, "Xianxia, you know very well what you've done. Junior brother will settle this debt with you sooner or later." Hearing this sentence, Xianxia's face sank. He naturally knew what Yang Kai was talking about. It was nothing more than the last time he sent someone to inform Long Hui. At that time, Xianxia thought that Long Hui would be able to kill Yang Kai, but he didn't expect that Long Hui would fail. A few days ago, when Yang Kai returned to High Heaven Pavilion, Xianxia was on tenterhooks for several days. He wasn't afraid of Yang Kai, but he was afraid of Meng Wuya. After all, the three of them had returned to High Heaven Pavilion together. However, Meng Wuya didn't come to find trouble with him. Xianxia thought that it was because he was careful and didn't give himself away. Today, when he heard Yang Kai's words, he knew that the matter had been exposed. Murderous intent surged. Xianxia quickly gave Nie Yong a meaningful glance. Nie Yong was overjoyed. He had wanted to peek at Lan Chudai and Du Yishuang, but was exposed by Yang Kai. In his heart, he hated Yang Kai to the bone. Now that he got Xianxia's acquiescence, he angrily shouted, "Rebel! Yang Kai, you dare to speak to Brother Xie? Watch how I teach you a lesson." At the same time, he raised his arm and shouted, "Which brother? Come with me to help Xie brother vent his anger." Several figures followed Nie Yong and rushed out. Lan Chudai stretched out her hand, wanting to say something, but swallowed her words. She helplessly watched as those people chased Yang Kai into the forest. On the other hand, Du Yishuang from Storm House wanted to help Yang Kai, but was stopped by Fang Ziki. "Brother Fang, he saved me a few days ago," Du Yishuang anxiously said. "Don't meddle in other people's business." But Fang Ziki coldly looked at her and said to his two junior sisters, "Watch her. Don't let her go." The two junior sisters quickly grabbed Du Yishuang's left and right arms. Fang Ziki looked at the direction where Yang Kai disappeared with great interest. Then he looked at Xianxia. He whispered, "Internal strife in this place, Sky Tower Pavilion is nothing more than this." Du Yishuang struggled to get rid of her two senior sisters. Zuern couldn't bear it and whispered, "Don't worry. Although he is only at the 7th level of the initial element boundary, he has been giving me a very dangerous feeling these days. Maybe he won't be the one to suffer this time." "Are you sure?" Du Yishuang gave up struggling. Du Yishuang asked softly, "I don't know. It's just my intuition." Zuern faintly replied. That was why he didn't provoke Yang Kai in the past few days. In the forest, Yang Kai was running with many people behind him. Nie Yong's voice came from behind. "Yang Kai, since you are from the same sect, I will let you suffer less if you surrender. Otherwise, you will suffer less." "Friendship?" Yang Kai sneered. "I don't have any friendship with you." Fine. You said it yourself." Nie Yong was enraged as he shouted, "Senior brothers, this brat obtained a high-grade Earth-level martial skill a few days ago. Capture him and force him to tell us the cultivation method of the skill. We will all benefit from it." "What? A high Earth-level martial skill?" someone exclaimed with a greedy look in his eyes. Although they had gained a lot in the past few days, there were too many people gathered in one place. So, they didn't get much benefit from it. Now that they heard that Yang Kai got a high Earth-level martial skill, who wouldn't be envious? With benefits at the forefront of their minds, the speed of the several people chasing after him suddenly increased significantly, closing the distance between them and Yang Kai in an instant. "Yang Kai, do you still want to resist?" one of them shouted as he swung his sword. The sword moved like a cloud and lightning, heading straight for Yang Kai's back. Sensing danger, Yang Kai hurriedly dodged. Before he could steady himself, another attack came. He rolled on the ground and avoided the second attack. When he stood up again, Yang Kai's expression was cold. He was surrounded by the people chasing after him. Apart from Nie Yong, there were 4 people. Although they were all in the Qi transforming stage, they were all stronger than Nie Yong. The 5 of them formed a circle with Yang Kai in the middle. They all looked at him with cold smiles. Nie Yong was especially happy. He looked at Yang Kai and said, "Junior brother Yang, you ruined my plans. Did you ever think that you would end up like this? Peeping on a woman bathing is considered a good thing?" Yang Kai snorted. Nie Yong's face reddened. This kind of thing was indeed shameful. Even the 4 people who chased after him looked at him with deep meaning, making him even more embarrassed. The person on the left withdrew his gaze and coughed lightly. Yang Kai, you are our junior brother. We won't take your life. Obediently tell us the cultivation method of that martial skill. We will take you back to brother and put in a few good words for you. Maybe brother Jie will forgive you for this offense. Junior brother appreciates your good intentions. Yang Kai felt the pressure from the 5 people. His unyielding willpower and arrogance boiled in his chest. His expression was calm. But if you want to steal from me, then take it with your own abilities. The person on the right shouted angrily. You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Don't think that we won't do anything to you just because you are from the same sect. If you offend brother Jie, only death awaits you. Even if we kill you here, no one will stand up for you. Among the 5 people, Nie Yong had a grudge against Yang Kai. After hearing these words, he couldn't help but feel a surge of murderous intent. He waved his hand and said, "Don't waste time talking nonsense with him. Even if we cripple him, we can still force the cultivation method of that martial skill out of him." Last time, when they divided the small stone men, Nie Yong only got one martial skill that was useless to him. Naturally, he was jealous of Yang Kai's gains. Although he didn't know what Yang Kai got, he was sure that it was more useful than his. As soon as he finished speaking, Nie Yong was the first to rush forward. A cold wind blew from his palm, carrying with it a dangerous aura as he attacked Yang Kai. He had made up his mind to keep Kai Yang here, so he had used his strongest martial skill right from the start. When the other 4 saw Nie Yong make his move, they were conceited and just watched. After all, Yang Kai's strength was too low. Nie Yong alone was enough to deal with him. Not only that, but one of them even commented on Nie Yong's moves. Junior brother Nie's cool wind palm can be considered to have reached perfection. It seems that he has put a lot of effort into it. The other 3 nodded slightly, obviously agreeing with his words. Cool wind palm was a low earth level martial skill of Sky Tower. It required 500 contribution points to exchange for. When the palm struck, a cool wind blew, killing the enemy invisibly. In order to obtain this martial skill, Nie Yong had spent a lot of time and effort. Using this move to deal with an initial element cultivator was as easy as crushing a conch with 10 fingers. There was no suspense. Everyone could almost imagine the scene of Yang Kai being defeated and injured. Facing such a palm, Yang Kai only met it with a punch. Chapter 135. As the palms and fists collided, a gentle force rushed into Yang Kai's body and flowed along his meridians. Yang Kai's yuan qi circulation slowed down. It was as if the meridians in his arms had been weakened by the cool breeze palm. Nie Yong sneered, "Yang Kai, this brother will cripple one of your arms today as a small lesson for you." Yang Kai's face suddenly flashed with a trace of murderous intent. The yuan qi in his body surged fiercely, resisting the invasion of the cool breeze palm. Nie Yong's plan was foiled in an instant. "You still want to resist?" Nie Yong clenched his teeth. He felt ashamed that he couldn't defeat Yang Kai in one move. He sent another palm over and ridiculed, "Although your yuan qi is strong, it's too weak. Let's see how you block it." Another cool breeze palm came, but this time, there was an undercurrent in the breeze. Obviously, there was a follow-up change. Yang Kai no longer hid his strength. The 36 meridians in his body surged. A day of hard work was finally showing its results. Scorching sun explosion. "I told you your strength is too weak." Nie Yong sneered. Before he could finish his words, the gentle palm suddenly turned into a gust of wind and swept toward Yang Kai. It seemed that he was determined to cripple Yang Kai's arm. Yang Kai's scorching sun explosion erupted at the same time. With a loud bang, a ball of fire suddenly appeared. The burst of light lit up the surrounding area, making it as bright as day. It was so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. "What?" Nie Yong was shocked. His cool breeze palm concealed a powerful change, but he didn't expect that Yang Kai's seemingly ordinary punch would do the same. The two's methods were shockingly similar. The wind from their palms and fists burst out. They were evenly matched. With 2 muffled groans, Nie Yong staggered back until he was blocked by a large tree. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. He was seriously injured. Yang Kai didn't have a good time either. His strength was 6 or 7 levels lower than Nie Yong's. It was rare that he could rely on the power of his martial arts to exchange a blow. Nie Yong was injured. How could he be safe? However, he didn't show any signs of weakness. After Nie Yong was pushed back, the bones in his body made clanking sounds. A warm current flowed through his body. Yuan Qi became irritable. He threw out 4 punches at the speed of wind and thunder, hitting the 4 people around him. 4 balls of fire burst out at the same time, ferociously rolling up the airwaves and killing power, which shocked everyone. The 4 of them were stronger than Nie Yong, and Kai Yang was in a rush to attack, so he couldn't hurt them. But by the time they blocked his attacks, they had already lost Yang Kai's. Yang Kai's voice came from afar. Nie Yong, see you next time. I'll take your life. His voice drifted, making it impossible to tell which direction Kai Yang had fled in. Junior brother Nie. One of them hurriedly looked in Nie Yong's direction. He saw blood at the corner of his mouth. His eyes flashed with unwillingness and fear. His expression was not good. Are you okay? I'm fine. Nie Yong struggled to stand up. Yang Kai is injured. Quickly chase after him. We can't let him escape. Chase after him? Someone hesitated. They didn't have any grudges with Yang Kai. They were only here to cheer for Nie Yong and put on a show for Xianxia. Now that he had escaped, what was the point of chasing after him? Who knew what dangers lurked within these towering mountains and precipitous ridges? What if they encountered 1 or 2 powerful monster beasts? Wouldn't they all be dead? Nie Yong sensed the change in attitude of the 4 people. He hurriedly said, "Brothers, did you see the power of his martial arts? That's what he obtained a few days ago. Relying on this martial arts, he injured me. Aren't you guys tempted?" Hearing him say this, the High Heaven Pavilion disciples' expressions brightened. After a moment of hesitation, one of them said, "Then we will chase after him. But let's make it clear first. We only want that martial arts. If you have any grievances with Yang Kai, settle it yourself. Don't involve us. If you want to kill him or cripple him, you have to bear the consequences." Of course, Nie Yong's expression was ferocious as he cursed, "You dare to threaten me? Who do you think you are? You even want to take my life. Don't let me catch you. Otherwise, let's see who will take whose life." Finished speaking, he took the lead to chase. The other 4 people looked at each other. They all felt that Yang Kai would not be able to escape this calamity. This time, if Nie Yong really caught up to him, he would definitely lose his life. Nie Yong was ready to kill. Near the small lake where Lan Chudai and Du Yishuang were bathing, Yang Kai finally couldn't hold his breath and spat out a mouthful of blood. Although he had just escaped a moment ago, the danger he had experienced during that brief exchange was something no one but Yang Kai could understand. These people were all at the Qi transforming stage. The weakest among them, Nie Yong, was at the Qi transforming stage 4th level. The strongest one was at the Qi transforming stage 7th or 8th level. The enemies he encountered in the 9 Mountain Valley could not be compared to them. It could be said that any one of them was on par with Wen Fei Chen when his cultivation was sealed. If not for the Burning Sun's explosion, Yang Kai would not have been able to escape from their encirclement. 5 punches, 5 exchanges with 5 different people. 5 different kinds of hidden energies had rushed into his body. Not to mention the injuries he suffered, the 5 kinds of hidden energies were flowing through his meridians, causing his Yuan Qi to be unable to circulate smoothly. If he did not find a safe place to dissolve these hidden energies, he was afraid that it would leave behind hidden dangers. The pursuers behind him were getting closer and closer. Yang Kai bent down and covered the blood he spat out. Then he plunged into the lake. Yang Kai didn't know if he would encounter any danger in the jungle, but in his current state, if he were to encounter any kind of danger, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to fight back. Therefore, he could only return the way he came. Only the path he had taken was the safest. This lake was also the best place to hide. If Nie Yong and the others did not dare to come down to investigate, Yang Kai would be happy to see them. If they dared to come down to investigate, they would have to face Yang Kai's counterattack. Holding his breath, Yang Kai dove into the lake, hiding his body in the darkness. The lake was very large, but Yang Kai did not expect it to be so deep. After diving for more than 10 feet, he still did not reach the bottom. On the contrary, the lake water was getting colder and colder. Not daring to swim any further, Yang Kai floated in the water, listening to the movements above. Sure enough, after a while, Nie Yong and the others arrived. Although Yang Kai tried his best to hide his tracks, these people had their own intuition. Moreover, Nie Yong, who had been with Yang Kai for several days, was leading the team. A few people's voices came from the lakeside. Then, someone jumped into the water. Yang Kai's face darkened. He did not expect these people to be so decisive. Perhaps he had underestimated Nie Yong's hatred for him. He had no choice. Yang Kai could only continue to dive. The surrounding lake water was cold. Fortunately, Yang Kai practiced the True Yang tactics. Warm True Yang Yuan Qi flowed through his body. The cold did not hinder him. The person who jumped into the lake swam around the lake. After searching for a long time, he found nothing. He did not dare to go too deep, so he climbed back up. After searching for a while, Nie Yong and the others finally left the area. Yang Kai was dizzy from holding his breath underwater. Although he had reached the 7th level of the initial element state and could breathe much longer than ordinary people, there was still a limit. Now, he was almost at his limit. If those people did not leave, things would become very troublesome. Just as Yang Kai was about to swim up, he suddenly heard a whistling sound. Hearing this movement, Kai Yang immediately became alert. He turned his head and looked around, but found nothing. After a while, another whistling sound was heard. It sounded like the wind. Strange. Where did the wind come from? Suspicious, Yang Kai looked in the direction of the wind sound. His eyes swept over, and he could not help but be shocked. Immediately, he fiddled with the lake water and swam down. He found a dark hole at the bottom of the lake. He went to the hole and listened. Sure enough, there was the sound of wind whistling. Yang Kai's eyes flashed. He was sure that there was a waterless space at the other end of the black hole. Moreover, it was also a way out. Otherwise, there would not be the sound of wind. After thinking for a while, Yang Kai swam into the black hole. Nie Yong and the others must still be searching outside. If Yang Kai went out now, even if he could be safe for a while, there was still the risk of being found. It was better to explore the black hole. If he guessed correctly, there would be a safe place for him to stay. The black hole was very long, about 1,000 feet long. It first extended downwards, then a straight tunnel, and finally all the way up. Just as Yang Kai was about to run out of breath, he finally surfaced. Wiping the water from his face, Yang Kai turned his head and looked around. He found that things were as he had guessed. The black hole led to a spacious space. This should be a cave. Yang Kai had noticed before that there was a mountain beside the lake. The black hole at the bottom of the lake should be connected to a cave on this mountain. The wind was blowing into the cave, and the whistling sound was transmitted to the bottom of the lake through the black hole. That was why he noticed it. The interior of the cave was abnormally dry. There were stalactites of unknown age hanging upside down on the ceiling like long spears. Jumping out of the water, Yang Kai took a quick look around before finally feeling relieved. There were no traces of life here. It should be very safe. Relieved, Yang Kai was exhausted. He quickly sat down cross-legged and operated the True Yang secret art to dry his clothes. Then he began to expel the 5 people's hidden energy. Their strength was much higher than his, so Yang Kai couldn't expel the hidden energy. If it was an enemy of equal strength, he wouldn't have to worry about this problem. Fortunately, Yang Kai's Yuan Qi was vigorous and pure. Even if the hidden energy invaded his body, as long as he could expel it in time, there wouldn't be any hidden danger. If it was another initial element 7th stage cultivator, they could only sit and wait for the hidden energy to corrode their meridians. Therefore, between cultivators, the stronger one had the absolute power to control life and death. After more than 2 hours, Yang Kai spat out a mouthful of black blood. Along with the black blood, the hidden danger in his body was completely removed. He looked a little weak, but there was no longer any obstruction in his meridians. Cool breeze palm. Kai Yang remembered that when Nie Yong used his martial skill, someone had commented on his martial skill. The power of this martial skill was not small, especially the changes after that. It was like a raging storm, exactly the same as his burning sun's explosion. However, the power of cool breeze palm was slightly inferior to scorching sun explosion. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to fight with Nie Yong. Chapter 136. After meditating for half a day, Yang Kai got up to investigate the situation in the cave. He was pressed for time just now, so he only took a cursory look. Now he naturally had to search carefully. His current position should be in the middle of the cave, because both sides were accessible. Listening to the sound of the wind, Yang Kai judged that the left side should lead to the exit, because the wind was blowing in from that side, while the right side led to the inside of the cave. After thinking about it, Yang Kai walked to the right side. After all, he was in danger now, so he was not in a hurry to leave the cave. After walking for a while, Yang Kai suddenly smelled a medicinal fragrance. Under the dim light, he found that there were many strange flowers and herbs on both sides of the cave. At a glance, he knew that these things were of extraordinary quality, but he did not know if they were poisonous. Sure enough, it was the Heaven's Cave inheritance. Although Yang Kai did not know what these things were and how much they were worth, Yang Kai believed that any one of them would be worth a lot. For the time being, he did not touch them. First, Yang Kai did not know how to take them, and second, even if he did, Yang Kai did not have a place to put them. Anyway, he was alone here, so there was no harm in leaving them here. As he walked and looked, Yang Kai found that there were many treasures here. They were all flowers and herbs that he had never seen before, and he did not know how many years they had been growing. After walking for a full hour, Yang Kai suddenly found a faint light shining in front of him and a dreamy voice calling out to him. Secretly vigilant, Yang Kai walked towards the place where the light was coming from. Not long after, he arrived in front of the light. It was a fist-sized bead, emitting a soft light, illuminating an area of several feet. Looking around, Yang Kai's pupils could not help but shrink. He found that he was at the bottom of the cave, and not far from him, there was a skeleton sitting cross-legged. This skeleton was wearing a luxurious purple robe. Its empty eyes were staring in the direction he came from, giving people an indescribable feeling of strangeness. This person had been dead for many years, but there was no reason for it. Yang Kai always felt that he was not a good person when he was alive, because the bones were emitting an evil and murderous aura that made Yang Kai feel uneasy. Was he the one who condensed the Heaven's Cave inheritance? Yang Kai couldn't help but recall the origin of the Heaven's Cave inheritance. If that was the case, then this place must have the inheritance of this person. Just as Yang Kai was frowning and thinking hard. However, a series of violent noises came from behind. Yang Kai's expression changed. Turning his head, he found that his path had been cut off. He didn't know when, but a huge rock had fallen into the cave, blocking the space outside. When he turned his head back, the bead that was emitting light suddenly flickered. In this sealed space that was less than 100 feet in radius, there were bursts of ghostly wails and howls. A chilly wind blew, as if he had fallen into the Azura hell, chilling his entire body. The true Yang Yuan Qi in his body began to circulate crazily. Yang Kai's expression was dignified, and he didn't speak. He just narrowed his eyes and looked around vigilantly. The ghostly wails and howls continued for an unknown period of time, constantly disturbing Yang Kai's mind. If it was someone else with a weak mind, they would definitely panic. However, perseverance and unyielding spirit were Yang Kai's greatest strengths. How could a mere sound shake him? As time passed, Yang Kai clearly felt that the ghostly wails and howls were faintly becoming impatient. Although it was very subtle, it was obviously different from before. Yang Kai's calmness seemed to have made the voice very angry. But it couldn't do anything. Aware of this, Yang Kai became calmer. Although he didn't know what was going on here, he simply sat down cross-legged and entered a meditative posture. The voice indeed became impatient. Bursts of chilly wind whistled back and forth in this narrow space. The light in the bead flashed rapidly, making this place more and more gloomy. Yang Kai remained unmoved. His breathing was even, and even his expression didn't change in the slightest. After a few hours, the voice suddenly disappeared, and the strange flashing bead finally stabilized. Except for the way behind, which was blocked by a stone door, this place was no different from when Yang Kai came. Not coming? A disdainful smile appeared on Kai Yang's face. Suddenly, he shouted in a stern voice, "Who's playing tricks on me? Come out!" His shout reverberated endlessly in the narrow space, reverberating endlessly. Suddenly, a burst of strange laughter rang out. Hearing this strange laughter, Yang Kai's hairs involuntarily stood on end. It wasn't because he was frightened, but because this laughter was simply too unpleasant to listen to. Just hearing it made his 5 viscera and 6 organs churn. Not only did his body have an uncomfortable reaction, but even his mind seemed to be buzzing. Soul attack? Yang Kai's expression changed slightly. He thought that someone had come here before him and deliberately played tricks to scare him away so that they could monopolize the treasures here. But now, Yang Kai didn't dare to think so. A laugh and the soul attack. This was obviously not something a disciple of the 3 sects could do. This was a skill that could only be displayed by a master who had reached the immortal ascension boundary. There was something strange about this place. Young man, your willpower is not bad, and your courage is not small either. You dare to speak to this old master like this? The unpleasant voice suddenly spoke. It was erratic, and Yang Kai couldn't find the source of the voice. Who are you? Yang Kai's expression was cold as he carefully examined the voice and asked. Another burst of unpleasant laughter sounded. After that, the voice said, "Who am I? This old master doesn't remember. Puma, I am probably the owner of this place." You are the owner of this Heaven's Cave inheritance? Yang Kai couldn't help but raise his voice. Thousands of disciples from the 3 sects gathered in one place to enter the Heaven's Cave inheritance. Their goal was to obtain this mysterious inheritance. It could be said that if anyone could obtain this inheritance as long as they didn't die in an accident, they would definitely reach a height that the world would revere in the future. Yang Kai didn't expect to obtain any inheritance. Like most people, he only came here to get some benefits. But no matter what, as long as he came in, he would be interested in this inheritance. Now that the voice said that he was the owner of this place, even the calm Yang Kai couldn't help but be moved. The voice didn't answer immediately. After a while, it said, "Yes, I am the owner of this place. Young man, you want to obtain this old master's inheritance?" Yang Kai didn't answer. He frowned, considering the authenticity of the voice's words. "I see that you have just been injured. You should have been injured by someone, right?" The voice said calmly, "You want revenge? You want to kill the people who hurt you and let them know that you are not to be trifled with?" A few wisps of cold wind lingered in Yang Kai's ears. They were very slow, so slow that Yang Kai couldn't detect them at all. But after hearing the voice's words, Yang Kai couldn't help but nod slightly. "Yes. You have hatred in your heart. It's buried deep, a hatred that others can't see. You want to become stronger. You want to kill those who look down on you, right?" Yang Kai's expression showed that he was struggling. His brows were furrowed, and the veins on his forehead were exposed. Although he felt that there was something wrong with these words, Yang Kai had a sense of agreement with the voice. "Yes." Yang Kai's voice trembled slightly. "This old master can help you achieve your long-cherished wish. I can make your dreams come true. Are you willing to inherit this old master's legacy?" The voice continued to persuade him. "If you are willing, nod your head. This old master will give you his inheritance. This is a great opportunity. Are you willing or not? It's just a light nod. It's easy for you. If you miss this opportunity, you will regret it." Voice after voice, like a drizzle, like a spring breeze, entered Yang Kai's mind, full of incomparable bewitchment. Yang Kai's eyes were a little confused. His head moved slightly, and his mouth opened and closed, as if he was about to agree to the voice's request. But suddenly, accompanied by a muffled groan, Yang Kai's eyes suddenly became clear. His face was filled with fear, and he couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. He didn't know what method the other party had used just now, but he had almost fallen for it. "Ha!" The voice was very surprised. "Biting the tip of your tongue to stimulate your body with pain, your willpower is really strong. Who are you, and what method did you use to bewitch my mind?" Yang Kai asked coldly. "To be able to detect this, young man, is amazing. As for who this old master is, who is this old master? Even if you don't say it, I know that you are it." Yang Kai's eyes suddenly fell on the skeleton in front of him. His eyes were full of fear, and he slowly said, "I heard that masters above the immortal wonder realm, as long as they can condense their divine sense, even if their physical body is destroyed, as long as their divine sense is not destroyed, they can find a new body to possess. You should be a master who fell here many years ago, and now you want to occupy my body, right? You bewitched my mind precisely for this purpose." As soon as Yang Kai said this, the voice suddenly stopped. After a long time, it laughed wildly. "Amazing! Just a little kid, your strength is only at initial element 7th level, but you can see through this. This old master admires you." Saying this, the voice suddenly became cold. "Since you noticed this, aren't you afraid?" Yang Kai smiled contemptuously. "Why should I be afraid? If you really have the means to forcibly erase my mind and occupy my body, why are you talking so much nonsense with me? Do you still need to bewitch me and make me fall into your trap? You are a master, and I'm afraid you also have extraordinary means, but that's before you die. Now you can only play tricks like this. You tell me, why should I be afraid of you?" Yang Kai sneered. "You, on the other hand, if I find the hiding place of your divine sense, do you think you can still live?" "Young man, you are too arrogant." The voice said coldly. "Do you think I am talking so much nonsense with you just to bewitch you? Ha! This old master's 3 strands of divine sense have already penetrated your mind. Even if you resist now, this old master will gladly accept your body." Chapter 137. Hearing this, Yang Kai's expression changed, and almost without thinking, he threw a punch directly at the skeleton in front of him, shouting, "Wishful thinking." The withered bones that had died here countless years ago were shattered by a single punch without any suspense. Instead of relaxing, Yang Kai's expression became even more dignified. "Decisive enough, but you chose the wrong target." The voice was filled with pride, and the bead suddenly emitted a faint light. Immediately, Yang Kai saw an illusory and ferocious face fly out from the bead, wrapped in a black gas, baring its fangs like a ghost as it rushed towards him. The soul was not hidden in the skeleton, but in the glowing bead. Yang Kai was about to attack again, but the flying face opened its mouth and hissed. The hissing sound drilled into Yang Kai's ears, and his mind suddenly hurt as if it was being pricked by thousands of needles. With a miserable groan, Yang Kai's movements could not help but stop. He knew that the voice was not lying. His mind must have been tampered with, otherwise such an unforeseen event would not have happened. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the face laughed and drilled into Yang Kai's body. His body shook, and Yang Kai's whole body stiffened, unable to even move his eyelids. It was as if he had lost control of his body. The voice came from inside his body. "Ha, ignorant junior, you actually want to resist this old master. Watch as this old master erases your consciousness and takes over your body." Yang Kai's expression was slightly panicked, but his eyes flashed with an unyielding light. "And junior, your body is too weak, and your strength is too low. Forget it, you can still use it. It won't be too late to find a better body later. Don't worry, after this old master takes over your body, I will help you settle any deep hatred you have. Come, obediently give up resisting, you will suffer less, and this old master will save some time." "In your dreams?" Yang Kai transmitted his thoughts. "Haha, now that things have come to this, you still want to resist? It's your luck that this old man has taken a fancy to you. Junior, don't be ungrateful." As expected, the human face heard Yang Kai's thoughts. He laughed strangely and said, "Forget it. Since you don't want to cooperate, this old man will have to do something. You have to endure the pain of having your consciousness erased. It's not something an ordinary person can endure. He kindly reminded Yang Kai. Then, using some unknown method, a loud bang sounded in Yang Kai's head. A pain that was thousands of times more painful than before came from there. This kind of pain, unlike the pain of a knife wound, came from the divine soul. Involuntarily, Yang Kai let out an extremely mournful scream from his throat. His clothes were instantly drenched in sweat, and his body trembled like a pendulum. You brought this upon yourself. Don't blame me. The human face coldly snorted as an even more intense pain spread through his body. Yang Kai felt as if his whole body was about to collapse. The consciousness in his mind was also erratic, like a candlelight in the wind and rain, which could be extinguished at any time. Only his pair of bloodshot eyes still maintained a stubbornness and persistence. Huh! The human face was surprised. How can you still resist? This is really strange. While speaking, Yang Kai clearly felt an intense warmth coming from his bones. As soon as this warmth spread, his erratic divine soul settled down, and even the great pain was reduced a lot. At the same time, a huge suction force was transmitted to his mind. What is this? The human face's voice suddenly became sharp and panicked, as if he had encountered the most terrible thing in the world. He panicked. What is this? No. Accompanied by his screams, his mind suddenly became clear. Yang Kai faintly felt that something had been sucked into his golden body. His body became light, and Yang Kai gasped for breath. What happened just now happened very quickly. From the time the human face drilled into his body until now, only 10 breaths of time had passed. But Yang Kai felt that a very long time had passed. And after successfully resisting the erosion of the human face, Yang Kai clearly felt that his willpower had become a little stronger. The human face's shrill screams came continuously, but at this moment, he was like a mouse meeting a cat. His voice was sharp and trembling, and he kept begging for mercy. Feeling slightly, Yang Kai found that the human face was now in a corner of his golden body. The expression on his face was fear and trepidation, and he was trembling. Young man, this old man was wrong. Let me out, I won't dare to do it again. The human face's frightened voice came. He didn't know where he was, but he seemed to feel that there was a pair of eyes with bad intentions staring at him, as if looking at a delicious meal. Yang Kai's expression became strange. Last time in the 9-yin Valley, the golden body directly absorbed half of the 9-yin yuan condensing dew, and now it was stored in the body, waiting to be used when he broke through the yuan qi state. Today, the golden body unexpectedly absorbed the human face again. Although Yang Kai also knew that the golden body could absorb any energy except for the yang attribute, he never thought that it could even absorb a person's divine soul. The divine soul of a strong person was also a kind of energy, and it was definitely a very nutritious energy. For the golden body, the human face was really just a dish. It was just that this dish was not ready yet, and it had to be refined by the true yang yuan qi before it could be absorbed. With a thought, Yang Kai ignored the human face's begging and silently operated the true yang tactics. Under the guidance of the true yang tactics, the human face finally got out of the golden body. Before he could be happy, he found that he had fallen into a place of pure yang energy. Screams immediately sounded. What are you doing? Stop, don't. As soon as Yang Kai made a move, he realized what Yang Kai was planning. Young man, don't do this, I will be refined. Yang Kai was unmoved and operated the true yang tactics again and again. As time passed, the voice became weaker and weaker until it was finally undetectable. But from beginning to end, he was begging for mercy and did not dare to offend in the slightest. When it was about time, Yang Kai stopped the operation of the true yang tactics and sent him back to the golden body. Thank you, young man, for not killing me. After waiting for a long time, the voice recovered a little, and the yuan qi thanked him with a trembling voice. Now, he was like a weak girl who had been raped by hundreds of strong men, weak and confused. What do I get for not killing you? Yang Kai asked lightly. The life or death of the human face was only in his mind. After realizing this, Yang Kai felt that he had to think carefully. In fact, Yang Kai did not want to keep him alive. Although they had not known each other for long, Yang Kai could see that this person was neither evil nor demonic. His strength was still low, and keeping him around would only do more harm than good. But Yang Kai did not know how to kill him other than refining him. But once he refined him, the golden body would absorb him. It was equivalent to eating a person's divine soul. Thinking of this, Yang Kai felt a little disgusted. Benefits? Benefits, 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 benefits. The human face understood the meaning in Yang Kai's words, and hurriedly answered. Let's hear it. Yang Kai said calmly. I don't know, what benefits do you want, young man? The human face asked. Yang Kai coldly snorted. The human face could not help but tremble, and quickly said, Young man, don't misunderstand, I have been dead for many, many years, and then I was sealed here. It was not until a few days ago that I woke up, so I don't remember much about the past. Let me think, I will definitely give you some benefits. Yang Kai remained silent, knowing that what he said should be true. After a while, the voice said in surprise, Yes, yes, young man, your current strength, cough is not high, you should cultivate some self-defense martial skills. I have thought of some powerful martial skills. Yang Kai could not help but become interested, straightening his body and saying, What do you have in mind? Tell me in detail. If I am satisfied, I will spare your life. Hearing this, the human face could not help but relax a lot, and quickly said, Young man will definitely be satisfied, my martial skills are at least mysterious grade. Yang Kai's breathing could not help but become more rapid. Martial skills were divided into ranks. From the bottom to the top were ordinary grade, earth grade, heaven grade, mysterious grade, spirit grade, and saint grade. Each rank was divided into 3 grades, high, middle, and low. There were only a few sets of mysterious grade martial skills in the entire Great Han Dynasty. A few days ago, Yang Kai, Lan Chudai, and the others went through life and death situations, and each of them only obtained 1 set of earth grade martial skills. Even so, the 5 of them were satisfied. Mysterious grade martial skills were 2 levels higher than earth grade martial skills. Sensing Yang Kai's desire, the human face could not help but relax a lot. He knew that only by satisfying Yang Kai he would be able to live. Without hesitation he slowly said, There is a martial skill called Heart-Devouring Seal. Yang Kai could not help but frown. This name sounded strange. It is relatively simple to cultivate. Take the heart of a child under the age of 10, eat 3 hearts a day, and refine the blood in the heart. In 100 days, you can reach the minor completion stage. Once the heart-devouring seal is used, the victim's heart will explode, and you will be killed in 1 hit. The human face explained the cultivation method of this martial skill, and there was a sense of pride in his voice. When Yang Kai heard this, his face turned ugly. Without waiting for the human face to finish explaining the power of this martial skill, Yang Kai coldly interrupted him, Change to another one. Oh, there's also a martial skill called Falling Red Flower. Yang Kai nodded slightly. This name sounded good, and it had a poetic feeling. The human face chuckled and said, It'll be easier to cultivate, but you'll have to circulate your mental cultivation method to refine the drop of falling red blood when you make love with the Virgin. With a woman's essence, if the conditions are right, you'll be able to master this martial skill very quickly. Moreover, the higher the strength of the woman used to cultivate, the faster the cultivation speed. About 100 people will be able to reach the major completion stage. I see that young man is majestic and mighty, and it is not a problem for him to have sex with 10 women in a night. In other words, in 10 days, the young man will be able to cultivate Falling Red Flower. Yang Kai's face was a little dark, and he coldly said, Isn't this gathering in to nourish Yang? Yes, 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 young man, this is gathering in to nourish Yang. Change to another one. The human face was depressed, and he had no choice but to say, There is another martial skill called Fist of Joy. Change to another one. Change again. The human face looked panicked. If he had a physical body, he would be wiping the sweat on his forehead. None of the martial skills he mentioned met Yang Kai's requirements. They were all extremely evil, and they required unconventional methods to cultivate, and they also needed to do evil deeds that were completely devoid of conscience. Chapter 138. He switched between 7 or 8 people in a row. The human face was terrified. Yang Kai sneered, "Young man, all I know is this kind of martial skill. I'm not lying to you. If you're only worth this much, what's the point of keeping you?" Kai Yang's voice contained a trace of coldness. From the martial skills that he had mentioned, Kai Yang already knew that this person must have been a devil who had committed many evil deeds. "Young man, calm down. Let me think carefully. I just woke up not long ago. My memory is a bit messy. I can't think of much for now. Give me some time. Give me some time. I'll definitely satisfy you. You only have one chance. You have to grasp it well." Yes, I won't disappoint the young man. Yang Kai didn't bother with him anymore. Since this place was sealed, he could heal in peace. As for the human face, although he must have been an expert and a great devil, he couldn't do anything now. Yang Kai didn't need to worry. He didn't have any good healing medicine on him, but this injury shouldn't take long to heal. He reached into his pocket and took out the remaining small stone man. Then, he used the Yuan Qi to feel the circulation of the golden threads and pry into the secrets of the small stone man. Just the burning sun explosion wasn't enough. Yang Kai wanted to use this time to cultivate a second martial skill. If he didn't become stronger, he would still be bullied when he went out. There were a lot of golden threads in this small stone man, a total of 70 to 80 threads. It was very likely to be a heaven-level martial skill, or even a profound-level martial skill. It took Yang Kai a full day's worth of effort to memorize the operation of these golden threads. Just like the small stone man, when Yang Kai took back the Yuan Qi, it turned into powder. During this day, the human face was also thinking hard about what he could do to impress Yang Kai so that he would let him live. At this time, although he thought of some bargaining chips, without Yang Kai's permission, he didn't dare to speak. He could only hide in the golden body in fear. Yang Kai didn't care about him. His mind was immersed in the martial skill that he had seen from the small stone man. Closing his eyes and sitting cross-legged, he followed the path of the golden threads and let the true Yang Yuan Qi flow through his meridians. After going through a cycle, Yang Kai realized that it wasn't like when he had obtained the scorching sun explosion. He didn't make a move at all. Instead, the back of his hand pulsed faintly. Is there something wrong with the route of operation? Yang Kai was suspicious. Impossible, he had clearly followed the circulation pattern of the golden threads in the stone man without any deviation. He circulated it again, and the back of his hand jumped again. What was going on? Wasn't this a martial skill? Why didn't he have the urge to attack? This wasn't the case when he used scorching sun explosion. What was so special about this martial art? Why was it so different from the others? After thinking for a while, Yang Kai couldn't figure it out. He could only slowly feel it through practice. Relaxing his mind, Kai Yang circulated his Yuan Qi over and over again. Every time he circulated his Yuan Qi, the same reaction would come from the back of his hand. Moreover, the throbbing sensation became more and more obvious, as if something was about to break out of his body. After an unknown amount of time, Yang Kai had circulated the Yuan Qi for at least 800 cycles. After a certain cycle, he suddenly felt a huge pain on the back of his hand. The pulsing sensation also broke free of its shackles and rushed out of his body. Yang Kai opened his eyes in shock. He lowered his head and looked at the back of his hand. He found that there was an additional pattern on the back of his hand. This pattern was a little strange. Yang Kai looked at it for a long time and found that it looked like a star field at night. It occupied half of the back of his hand and was dotted with stars. When he didn't circulate the Yuan Qi, it didn't look very strange. Once he circulated the Yuan Qi, this star seemed to come alive and shone brightly. Moreover, Yang Kai clearly felt that there was a space that he couldn't see under the skin of this pattern. When the Yuan Qi was circulated, it was stored in this space. After trying for a long time, Yang Kai poured all of his Yuan Qi into the star on the back of his hand. Then, he casually pointed his finger at the ground. Yang Kai didn't use any strength in this point. If there was an ant under his finger, it definitely wouldn't die. But when the yuan qi in the star on the back of his hand burst out, the entire tip of his finger rolled and rolled, illuminating the cave as bright as day. With a crack, Yang Kai's entire arm sank into the ground. The ground shook violently and the dust on the top of the cave rustled down. Yang Kai couldn't help but be moved. Although this point was equivalent to consuming all of his yuan qi in one go, the lethality of this attack was much higher than a normal eruption. It was almost twice the lethality. Yang Kai estimated that if he only used all of his yuan qi without any fancy eruption, he wouldn't be able to achieve the same result as just now. This martial skill is so strange. Kai Yang's brow furrowed. He had finally figured out something. Young man, the voice in his body sounded, with a hint of flattery and caution. Yang Kai frowned and thought about the idea in his mind. Young man, I think I know a little bit about the martial skill you practice. Do you want me to tell you? There was no response. The face in his body was very anxious. It couldn't wait to show off its value in front of Yang Kai, but it was afraid that Yang Kai would refine it. Although it hadn't known Yang Kai for long, the face could see that although Yang Kai was young, he was very determined. Ordinary people couldn't compare to him, and there was a hidden evil in his character. This evil made the face afraid. After waiting for a long time, Yang Kai came back to his senses and said, "What do you know? Tell me." As if it had received a great favor, the face was moved to tears. It hurriedly said, "I don't know what martial skill you practice, young man, but in my memory, I think I've seen a martial skill similar to this one. When you practice it, you will open up a space that belongs to this martial skill in a certain part of your body. The power of this martial skill is related to the amount of yuan qi stored in this space. When you have nothing to do, young man, you can pour your yuan qi into this space. When you need to use this move, you will be able to display the power of this martial skill. If you use this martial skill well, it will be very powerful. If you don't use it well, it will only be a joke. The root of everything is the amount of yuan qi you pour into this space. If you pour more yuan qi into this space, the damage will be greater. If you don't have enough yuan qi, it won't even be as good as a child's punch. But then again, young man, this martial skill is a one-time deal. You use the accumulation of hard work in exchange for a moment of explosion. This is also a life-saving martial skill." The human face quickly told him everything it knew and then obediently shut its mouth. A slight smile appeared on Yang Kai's face. What he said was similar to what he found out himself, but it was more comprehensive. Some parts that he didn't understand were suddenly understood. Using the accumulation of hard work in exchange for a moment of explosion? This was a martial skill tailor-made for himself. Yang Kai couldn't help but want to laugh out loud. Other people need to accumulate their yuan qi through hard work, but do I need to? I'm going to study it carefully. Don't disturb me. Yang Kai reminded him. The young man, what you said is not very valuable. Think carefully about how you can survive. The face suddenly became very bitter. Yang Kai's way of doing things was so mature and calm. It made him feel like he was facing an old fox. What kind of sin did he commit? Why did he want to take over his body? Just as he was sighing and lamenting, the face felt that Yang Kai was driving his yuan qi into that special space. He was pouring it in very quickly and unscrupulously. He didn't care if it would cause any harm to himself. The face wanted to remind him to take it slow. Because if the yuan qi was consumed too quickly, it would also cause a burden to the body. But he rolled his eyes and swallowed his words. Humph, you asked me not to disturb you. It's not that I didn't want to remind you. You better hurry up. When your yuan qi is exhausted, I'll think of a way to escape from this damned place. Kid, you're still too inexperienced. Yang Kai's yuan qi, if he relied purely on cultivation, it would take him at least 3 to 5 days to be full. But he only spent 4 hours to pour all his yuan qi into the space under the star on the back of his hand. When the human face inside Yang Kai's body noticed this, it almost jumped for joy. It could feel that Yang Kai's body was now extremely weak, and there was not a single drop of yuan qi left in his meridians. This was its best chance to escape. Just as he was about to move, he suddenly stopped. Because he found that Yang Kai's meridians, which were originally empty, were full again in an instant. *CK. What's going on? The human face was on the verge of going crazy. This strange situation was beyond his knowledge. He thought to himself, could it be that I've been sealed for so many years that my mind is not clear and I'm hallucinating? That's not right. What I felt just now was so real. This kid's yuan qi was obviously gone. How could it be recovered in the blink of an eye? I must be seeing things. The face comforted himself and then concentrated on observing Yang Kai's movements. Another 4 hours later, the yuan qi in Yang Kai's body disappeared completely again. The star on the back of his hand started to rotate according to an inexplicable pattern. The face swore to his own spirit. This time, it was definitely not wrong. This kid's yuan qi was really gone. There was not a single bit left. After observing for nearly 4 hours, he knew the whereabouts of every strand of yuan qi in Yang Kai like the back of his hand. It couldn't be wrong, it definitely couldn't be wrong. But the next moment, he was dumbstruck and shocked on the spot. His previously empty meridians were once again filled with energy. It was like the yuan qi in Yang Kai's body was inexhaustible. The face was shocked. Although he couldn't remember a lot of things, he still had at least some common sense. No matter how strong a person was, it was absolutely impossible to recover the lost yuan qi so quickly. If everyone did this, wouldn't the world be in chaos? What kind of cultivation method did he practice? How could it have such a heaven-defying effect? At this moment, the face no longer dared to look down on Yang Kai. Instead, it was replaced by a kind of fear and dread. He had an inexhaustible meridian and an inexhaustible supply of yuan qi. How terrifying would this kid be when he grew up in the future? He could release powerful killing moves without any fear. He didn't have to worry about the depletion of yuan qi. His battle strength was probably equivalent to 10 people, or even 100 or 1,000 people. Chapter 139. It had to be said that the human face had overestimated Yang Kai. The reason why he had an endless supply of yuan qi was because of his daily accumulation. The true Yang tactics and this inexplicable martial skill had some similarities in that they both required accumulation. However, the accumulation of the true Yang tactics required one to turn their yuan qi into Yang liquid and store it in the dantian, while the accumulation of this martial skill required one to pour yuan qi into the space under the star and release it when needed. There was also a difference. There was no limit to the amount of Yang liquid stored in the dantian. It could be said that as long as the conditions were right, Yang Kai could store as much as he wanted. However, the space under the star on the back of the hand was different. After 2 days of hard work, Kai Yang transformed the energy from the 10 drops of Yang liquid into yuan qi and infused it into the space. He felt that the space was already saturated. In these 2 days, Yang Kai only operated the true Yang tactics while healing himself. He did not deliberately pay attention to the energy in the star, and the yuan qi in his body entered the space by itself. This was a good thing. During normal cultivation, this martial skill was accumulating and did not require him to take time to deal with it. 2 days later, Yang Kai opened his eyes and lowered his head to look at the star on the back of his hand. It was much more realistic than before. Through the pattern, he could even see a 3-dimensional image. It was as if there really was a huge star field sealed on the back of his hand. With a thought, the pattern on the back of his hand disappeared and hid under his skin. Yang Kai exhaled. This pattern was too dazzling. If it was left on his hand, it would definitely be seen by others. After staring blankly for a while, Yang Kai suddenly asked, "What is the name of the martial skill that is similar to this in your memory?" "Young man, I don't remember." There was less fear in the voice from 2 days ago, but more obedience. Yang Kai's eyes flashed. He naturally did not know how much shock he had brought to the human face in the past 2 days. It was because of this shock that the human face did not dare to look down on Yang Kai anymore. "I'll give you a chance. Give it a name." Yang Kai had a headache thinking about the name Scorching Sunburst previously. Now that there was someone who could use it, he naturally threw this problem to face. This old demon was definitely very old and had seen a lot. Wouldn't it be easy for him to come up with a good name? The voice was silent for a moment. Then it said, "Since there is a star and there are a lot of stars when you use it, how about we call it the star mark?" Star mark, star mark. Yang Kai murmured and nodded, "Yes, let's call it the star mark." The human face hurriedly said respectfully, "Congratulations to the young man for learning the star mark martial arts technique. From this, you will become a virtuous martial artist and benefit the common people. In the future, you will definitely be invincible and invincible." Yang Kai remained unmoved. The human face quickly shut up. He felt that his flattery had gone too far. "Have you thought of a way to survive?" Yang Kai suddenly asked. The human face suddenly trembled. "Young man, if you spare my life, I am willing to give you an artifact." Yang Kai looked around and said lightly, "If you have an artifact, you will definitely leave it here. I can find it even if I kill you, so why should I let you live? To be honest, I have no interest in keeping someone like you. I don't dare to keep you, so refining you is the best way." The human face hurriedly said, "Young man, please spare my life. If you don't feel at ease, I can recognize young man as my master. As long as a strand of young man's soul brand remains in my body, my life and death will be in your hands. I beg you, young man, to be merciful and not refine me." Yang Kai seemed to be interested and said, "How do I know if you are telling the truth?" The human face smiled bitterly, "Although I don't know what is strange in your body, this strange thing is quite restrained, so how could I dare lie to you?" Yang Kai was silent. He didn't want to keep this kind of demon alive, but he definitely knew something about this place, so it would be a pity to kill him. At least before he got the information he wanted, Yang Kai didn't want to kill him. Yang Kai's silence made the human face more and more uneasy. "Young man, if you spare my life, you can also use my artifact. You may not know, but my artifact is indeed here, but without me, young man, even if you get it, you won't be able to use it." Yang Kai asked. "Because that artifact is an evil thing. Without my divine soul, you wouldn't be able to control it on your own with the attribute of the Yuan Qi in your body." Yang Kai let out a long breath and fell silent again, frowning and thinking. The human face knew it was a matter of life and death, so he didn't dare to speak too much lest he annoy Yang Kai, but he couldn't avoid being on edge. After a long time, Yang Kai suddenly said, "What do I need to do to make you recognize me as your master?" The human face's heart suddenly relaxed, his voice trembling as he said, "Please relax, young master. This old servant will enter your mind and draw out a strand of my divine sense, engraving it on this old servant's body." Yang Kai's mouth curled into a sneer. The human face quickly explained, "Young master, your strength has not yet reached the immortal ascension boundary, so you can't use your own divine sense. Please believe in this old servant's sincerity." "You do it," Yang Kai said and relaxed. The human face was secretly shocked, admiring Yang Kai's decisiveness, and in his heart his opinion of Yang Kai increased. If it were anyone else, they would only worry about personal gains and losses at this time. How could they be as decisive as Yang Kai? But then again, he really didn't need to worry about anything. The last time he rushed into Yang Kai's mind, he was sucked out by a suction force. If he did this again, the human face believed that this scene would happen again. At this moment, he didn't dare to have the slightest improper thoughts, carefully sneaking into Yang Kai's mind and drawing out a strand of his divine sense, integrating it with his own soul. After a long time, the human face said, "Young master, it's done. From now on, this old servant's life and death will be at young master's discretion." Yang Kai opened his eyes and felt with his heart, finding that he really did have a connection with this human face. But this connection was one-sided and he had complete control of the other party. "You seem to have recovered quite a bit, haven't you?" Yang Kai asked meaningfully. The human face said, "After integrating a strand of young master's soul, naturally I have recovered." But young master doesn't need to worry, you can take back this strand of soul at any time, it will definitely not cause you any loss. Yang Kai coldly snorted, and with a thought. The human face's screams immediately came out, as if he had been fried in a pot of oil. The screams were extremely tragic. Young master, spare me, everything this old servant said is true, I have not hidden anything from you. The human face begged for mercy again and again. The expression on his face was terrifying and ferocious, and he was in so much pain that he wanted to die, rolling around in Yang Kai's body. After tormenting him for a while, Yang Kai let him go and said slightly, "If you dare to have any thoughts in the future, I won't kill you, but I will use the method just now to let you taste the consequences of offending me." This old servant doesn't dare. The human face's voice trembled. After this incident, he discovered another character of Yang Kai's, Ruthless. After completely subduing the human face, Yang Kai felt a little relieved. "What is your name? How should I call you in the future?" Yang Kai asked. The human face pondered. "I don't know what this old servant is called, but I vaguely remember someone calling me the old demon. I don't know if this is a name or a title." "The old demon." Yang Kai nodded slightly. "You really are a demon." The old demon smiled awkwardly. "That was probably a long time ago. From now on, this old servant will only listen to the young master's orders." "Where is the secret treasure you mentioned?" Replying to the young master, "It is on this old servant's bones." Following the old demon's guidance, Yang Kai searched the scattered bones together and immediately pulled out a rib bone that seemed to be a chest bone. But this rib bone was very different from the other bones. It was pitch black. The moment Yang Kai touched it, he even heard a ghostly wailing sound coming from it, and his vision blurred again. "What a strong evil aura." Yang Kai's face sank. The old demon said, "This thing is called the Soul Breaker All. This old servant refined it into his own bones. It should have taken the lives of many people, so its evil aura is slightly stronger." Yang Kai sneered. "When refining it, many people's souls were used, right?" The old demon laughed dryly. "Young master is wise. Because of this secret treasure is not suitable for the young master. If you forcibly refine it, I am afraid your mind will be affected. But with this old servant's soul in the middle, there is no need to worry about this, but it will consume a lot of yuan qi, but it has been dormant for many years, so I am afraid it will not be very strong now." Yang Kai nodded slightly. He could also feel that this artifact was currently equivalent to an Earth-grade low-rank offensive artifact. It really wasn't a high-end artifact, and a stronger cultivator would be able to easily block its attacks. "How do I refine it?" The old demon hurriedly taught Yang Kai the method of subduing it. After several days of effort, Yang Kai finally managed to subdue this dark secret treasure. This dark bone had now turned into a black gas, entangling Yang Kai's fingertips, flying around as if it had a mind of its own. Yang Kai could feel that there was a faint connection between him and it, but the old demon's soul was also mixed in. After experimenting a few times, Yang Kai had a plan in his mind. If his guess was right, this soul-breaker all could only display the power of an Earth-grade low-grade secret treasure. And using it consumed a lot of yuan qi, because it had to go through the old demon as a transfer station, it was more or less a waste. The old demon said, "If the young master wants to refine it, it is possible, but it will take a long time." When he said this, the old demon was very nervous. He was afraid that Yang Kai would agree, but he had to say it. "I will not refine it. It will be under your control in the future." "Many thanks, young master." The old demon was grateful. If Yang Kai did not refine it, it meant that he could hide inside this secret treasure, no longer having to stay in Yang Kai's golden avatar and be afraid. Inside the golden avatar, the old demon always felt like a piece of meat on a chopping board, so helpless and desolate. Absorbing the black gas at his fingertips into his body, the old demon also impatiently rushed out of the golden avatar and hid inside the soul breaker all. Glancing around again, Yang Kai found that there was nothing else here except for the bead exuding a faint light. "You only have this one secret treasure?" Yang Kai was somewhat dissatisfied. The old demon must have been a master when he was alive, so there was no reason for him to only have the soul breaker all left. The old demon smiled bitterly. Young master may not know, but there was an earth-shattering battle here, and this old servant was also involved. During the battle, everything else was broken, leaving only this soul breaker all that was refined into my bone. Chapter 140. A great battle? Yang Kai's heart skipped a beat. Tell me in detail. As the old demon narrated, Yang Kai slowly understood some things. The old demon didn't remember much, only a few scattered memories. But when put together, it was probably that he was somehow involved in a great battle back then. And it was a battle where countless people besieged two enemies. The two enemies were a man and a woman. In the end, almost all of them were wiped out, and the man and woman died on the spot. This old servant was seriously injured and fled, and finally died here. I remember. The old demon's voice was a little hesitant and a little frightened. Remember what? There was a dragon and a phoenix. The combination of the dragon and phoenix destroyed the heavens and the earth. This old servant was seriously injured by this move. Yang Kai's eyes lit up. He remembered the dragon phoenix seal hovering in the sky when the Heaven's Cave inheritance opened a few days ago. After saying this, the old demon seemed to be greatly frightened and couldn't think of anything else. According to what you said, this place isn't your inheritance? Yang Kai asked. Young master, please calm down. This old servant was just speaking casually. But there is an inheritance. If young master wants it, this old servant will definitely teach it to you. No need. I'm not interested in those things of yours. Yang Kai quickly shook his head. The old demon was shocked. Although he didn't remember what his identity was, he was probably an expert when he was alive. Countless people would fight to be his disciple, but when it came to Yang Kai, he didn't even spare him a glance. Sigh, a phoenix without feathers is inferior to a chicken. The old demon sighed. The bead was also useless. The old demon had been residing in it before. It was fine if he didn't touch it, but once he touched it, it turned into powder. After circling around for a while, Yang Kai couldn't find anything, so he let out a long sigh and decided to leave. He had been here for a long time and didn't know what the situation outside was like. Since this place was Heaven's Cave inheritance, he might as well try his luck. Arriving in front of the stone door that sealed this place, Yang Kai opened it according to the method taught by the old demon. Before he could walk out, a red and white light suddenly rushed toward him. Yang Kai's expression changed. He thought that someone had sneakily attacked him, so he hurriedly threw out a punch. Unexpectedly, the light seemed to have a mind of its own as it avoided Yang Kai's attack and flew around his arm. Yang Kai hurriedly retreated, and at the same time his other hand reached out to grab the light. Realizing this, Yang Kai's expression couldn't help becoming strange. He realized that this was not an attack. Instead, what he had grabbed was a solid object. At the same time, he could feel a sense of struggle coming from his hand. Puzzled, he took a closer look and found that he was holding a ginseng in his hand that had already taken a human shape. This ginseng was also strange. One side was red, while the other side was white. Yang Kai could feel that this ginseng contained two completely different types of energy. The red side contained heat, while the white side contained cold. The two opposing attributes perfectly fused together in this ginseng, forming this strange spirit of heaven and earth. At this moment, it was being held in Yang Kai's hand. Its facial features were distorted, but it couldn't escape from Yang Kai's grasp. Yin-Yang Monster Ginseng. The old demon exclaimed. Do you recognize it? Yang Kai asked. Strange treasure. This is a black-level high-rank strange treasure. The old demon seemed to have discovered something extraordinary and was shocked. Before Yang Kai could ask, the sound of footsteps suddenly came from the other side of the cave. Someone's coming. Yang Kai's expression became serious as he quickly put the Yin-Yang Monster Ginseng into his pocket. Strangely enough, after being put into his pocket, the Yin-Yang Monster Ginseng no longer struggled. Instead, it calmly stayed there without moving. Just as Yang Kai was vigilant about who was coming, a familiar voice came from the other side. Sister, did it really run this way? The other voice replied, "Yes, it went in here. This cave is really hidden. If we hadn't followed it in, I'm afraid we wouldn't have found this place." The two people's voices were similar. They both had a delicate quality to them. Listening to them was like a spring breeze, making people feel comfortable. Kai Yang's brow furrowed. He knew who these two people were, but he didn't expect to meet them here. There are so many strange flowers and herbs here. Really? This is really an unexpected harvest. Let's not rush to pick them. Let's go in and take a look. While talking, the two people's footsteps were getting closer and closer. Yang Kai didn't hide. First, he knew these two people. Second, there was no place to hide. Not long after, the two people had already arrived a few dozen feet away from Yang Kai. One of them suddenly saw someone blocking their way and couldn't help but stop. She tenderly shouted, "Who's there?" Yang Kai dryly coughed and chuckled, "Two ladies, we meet again." Hearing his voice, one of them let out a soft cry. The other flashed from behind and stared at him for a moment. She was pleasantly surprised and said, "Yang Kai?" "May Air Lady." Yang Kai nodded slightly and said to the other person, "Jiao Air Lady, long time no see." These two people were the beautiful sisters of the blood group, Hu Jiao Air and Hu Mei Air. Seeing Yang Kai distinguish who was who at a glance, Hu Jiao Air couldn't help but stare at him. "It's you, stinking brat." The last time they met, Yang Kai said that one side of her butt was big and the other was small. Hu Jiao Air still took it to heart. Compared to her sister, Hu Mei Air was pleasantly surprised. "Why are you here?" "I accidentally found this place." Yang Kai didn't elaborate. While talking, the two sisters had already walked over. Hu Jiao Air coldly glared at Yang Kai. She stuck out her chest and sucked in her stomach, raising her round and plump buttocks high. The old demon's voice sounded in Yang Kai's body. "In this world, there are two girls who are so similar. What's more, they are not twins. Young master, if you use their bodies to cultivate the falling red flower, it will be twice the result with half the effort. It will only take a few days to reach the Deshang stage." "You shut up." Yang Kai transmitted his thoughts. The old demon hurriedly shut up. "Did you see anything coming?" Hu Mei Air opened her mouth and asked. Just now, when he heard the two of them talking, Yang Kai knew that they must have chased after the yin-yang monster ginseng. He didn't hide it and nodded, "Yes." "Where is it?" Hu Jiao Air hurriedly asked. Yang Kai pointed to his chest. The two sisters blinked their eyes together. Hu Jiao Air asked, "You took it?" "And I don't know why, but when I put it on my chest, it became very quiet." Hu Jiao Air took a deep breath. Her full chest heaved up and down. She was about to die from anger. She and her sister chased after the heavenly wonder for a few mountains. With great difficulty, they waited for it to enter a cave. They chased it along the way, but they didn't expect that Yang Kai would beat them to it. Why was it that nothing good ever happened when they met him? Hu Jiao Air clenched her teeth. With her strength, if she really wanted to snatch it, she could snatch it. But Hu Jiao Air didn't want to do that. She knew that her sister felt guilty towards this stinking brat, although she didn't know what happened between them. If she really wanted to snatch it, her sister would definitely stop her. "It's good that you took it." Hu Mei Air didn't mind. Instead, she felt relieved. What was so good about this stinking brat? Hu Jiao Air looked up and down at Yang Kai. Suddenly, her expression changed. "You're at the initial element stage 7? Hu Jiao Air was shocked. The last time they met, Yang Kai was only at the tempered body stage. How long had it been? How did he reach the initial element stage 7? If he didn't have a fortuitous encounter here, then his cultivation speed was too fast. One must know that his sister's strength was similar to his at that time. But now, she was only at the initial element stage 2. Compared to Miss Jiao Air, what is the initial element stage 7? Yang Kai was surprised by the generosity of the two. Heavenly wonders weren't something that could be found easily. Yang Kai didn't expect that they didn't ask him for it. Hu Jiao Air obviously didn't like Yang Kai. "There are some exotic flowers and herbs outside. If the two of you don't mind, you can pick some." Yang Kai didn't want to owe them any favors. The yin-yang monster ginseng was a heavenly wonder. Its value should be much higher than the exotic flowers and herbs outside. He took the yin-yang monster ginseng that they found first and compensated them with the exotic flowers and herbs outside. You don't need to say that. Hu Jiao glared at him. Sister. Hu Mei noticed her sister's attitude towards Yang Kai and couldn't help but shake her arm. Okay. Hu Jiao was helpless. She looked at the cave behind Yang Kai and said, Don't be in a hurry to pick those things. We sisters have been running around for a few days. We need to find a place to recover. Help us guard it for a while. The two of you can help yourselves. While saying that, he stepped aside. Hu Jiao and Hu Mei walked in together. The latter smiled at Yang Kai with a sweet and apologetic smile. After entering the cave, the two sisters looked around. They were a little surprised by the bones of the old demon, but immediately, both of their eyes stared at the rock wall on their left. The two pairs of beautiful eyes became dignified at this moment. They stared without blinking. Yang Kai was puzzled. He followed their eyes and looked at the rock wall, but found nothing. What are you looking at? After observing for a long time, Yang Kai felt a little strange. There were no words or flowers on the rock wall. Why were they so focused? Neither of them responded. It was as if their minds were immersed in the rock wall. Yang Kai frowned. He didn't know what was going on. He had been here for many days. There really wasn't anything on the rock wall. After waiting for a long time, the two sisters suddenly sat down cross-legged, closed their eyes at the same time, and meditated. Faintly, Yang Kai suddenly felt that the two of them had merged into one at this moment, almost becoming one person. But when he looked carefully, they were still two. This sudden discovery caused Kai Yang to be shocked. I'm afraid there is an opportunity for them here. The old demon's voice sounded. Is there something on the rock wall? There must be, but young master and this old servant can't see it. Only those who have the opportunity can take a peek or two. So, it's not your inheritance? Yang Kai frowned. Of course not. This was strange, but since the two of them had found something, Yang Kai naturally couldn't leave easily. No matter what, they had some friendship. He just stood at the door and waited quietly. Chapter 141. Yang Kai waited here for 3 days before Hu Mei and Hu Jiao finally reacted. Two golden lights suddenly burst out from the empty stone wall, then disappeared into the top of their heads. At the same time, the yuan qi in their bodies began to riot at the same time, producing a trace of resonance at this moment. The entire cave was filled with a humming sound. Yang Kai's expression was dignified as he raised his eyes to look at them. He saw a brilliant light flowing from their bodies, as if the yuan qi in their bodies had fused together. First, it circulated around Hu Jiao on the left, then it circulated to Hu Mei on the right. Gradually, the fluctuations of the two women's yuan qi became exactly the same. The yuan qi gradually calmed down until it finally returned to normal. The two sisters exhaled a long breath and opened their eyes at the same time. They looked at each other with unconcealable excitement and surprise in their beautiful eyes. Congratulations to the two of you. Yang Kai's congratulatory voice sounded. He had been waiting here for a few days and had discovered some things. For some unknown reason, the two sisters had coincidentally obtained the inheritance here. However, this inheritance was not the old demon's. According to the old demon, in the war that year, countless experts died here, so there should be more than one inheritance in this Heaven's Cave inheritance. Hu Jiao and Hu Mei were lucky enough to obtain one of them. Hearing Yang Kai's congratulatory voice, the two sisters turned their heads at the same time and said almost in unison, "Thank you." After saying that, the two of them looked at each other and suddenly smiled together. Yang Kai was stunned not because of their beauty, but because at this moment, he could not tell who was Hu Mei and who was Hu Jiao. The two of them seemed to have really become one, and there was no difference. Now do you know who I am? The beauty on the left looked at Yang Kai with a smile, her eyes flashing with pride and slyness. Miss Jiao. Yang Kai chuckled. The beauty wrinkled her nose and said with some dissatisfaction, "You guessed blindly, right?" Miss Mei wouldn't ask me this kind of thing. Yang Kai explained. Hu Jiao Er rolled her eyes at him. I didn't expect you to know my little sister so well. Hu Mei Er, who was on the right, blushed upon hearing this. She glanced at Yang Kai and saw that his expression was normal. Only then did she feel less awkward. No matter what, I have to thank you this time. Hu Jiao Er smiled sweetly. When Yang Kai was guarding them, their entire minds were immersed in the opportunity, and they didn't have the slightest ability to resist. If Yang Kai had any ill intentions towards them at that time, these two sisters wouldn't have been able to escape. But from the beginning to the end, Yang Kai just stood by the door and did not move. They meditated for 3 days while Yang Kai stood there for 3 days. Perhaps because of this, Hu Jiao Er couldn't help but find Yang Kai more pleasing to the eye. Her tone was also gentler than before. Hu Jiao Er thought to herself, this stinking brat isn't that hateful after all. You're welcome. Let's leave this place first. Yang Kai wanted to go out a few days ago, but was delayed by these two for a long time. Naturally, he was in an urgent mood now. The two nodded and followed Yang Kai out. Passing by the place where the exotic flowers and rare herbs grew, the two sisters naturally plucked them. Since these things were said to be compensation for them, Yang Kai naturally didn't want to touch them. The harvest of the yin-yang monster ginseng was enough. Yang Kai had already inquired the old demon about the use of this world spirit treasure. It was of great benefit to him. It contained both yin and yang qi. It could be used in medicine, refined into pills, or consumed. However, its greatest use was to increase one's cultivation speed. But there was a prerequisite, and that was that he had to find another woman who cultivated a yin attribute cultivation method. He had to form a bond with her and share the yin-yang monster ginseng's medicinal effects. When he and the woman's hearts were connected, the yin-yang demon ginseng would automatically split into 2 types of energy and disperse into the woman's and his body. With the yin-yang monster ginseng's medicinal effects, he and the woman's hearts would become one. When they cultivated together, the two's cultivation speed would increase. This condition was a bit harsh. How difficult would it be to find such a woman in the world? Because of this, the yin-yang monster ginseng was only a mysterious level high-grade spirit treasure. But for those who met the conditions, its value was simply immeasurable. The yin-yang monster ginseng only grew in strange places where yin and yang qi coexisted. It had an instinctive affinity with yin qi and yang qi. Yang Kai had the true yang secret art, so his body was filled with true yang yuan qi. It was also a good explanation for why it stayed in Yang Kai's chest. In these 3 days, Yang Kai also sent a drop of yang liquid to the yin-yang monster ginseng. After the yin-yang monster ginseng absorbed the yang liquid, its facial features showed a touch of enjoyment, and it became more and more reluctant to leave Yang Kai. After waiting for a while, Hu Jiao Er and Hu Mei Er finished gathering the herbs. The two of them discussed and took out half of the herbs to share with Yang Kai. Yang Kai refused. I took your things, you took mine. No one suffered a loss, so you don't have to share with me. Hu Jiao Er stared at him for a long time, then pursed her lips and smiled. Silly boy, don't take it, and these are not yours. We worked hard to gather them. Yang Kai also smiled. Ladies, why don't you tell me what's going on outside? He stayed here for more than 10 days and knew nothing about the outside world. Naturally, he wanted to inquire. Don't call us ladies, it sounds weird. Hu Jiao Er frowned. Just call us Jiao Er and Mei Er. If you feel apologetic, you can also call me elder sister Jiao Er. Then I'll call you by your names. Yang Kai nodded. Let's walk and talk. Hu Jiao Er glared at him. As the two sisters chattered, Yang Kai gradually began to understand the events that had transpired in the past 10 days. Although the 3 sects' thousands of disciples had entered this place from different places, with the passage of time, everyone had slowly gathered at the central location. Many people had obtained benefits here, but many had also died. In the past 10 days, the 3 sects' disciples had gathered into 3 forces. Under the leadership of their respective sects' experts, they had encircled and annihilated a few powerful monster beasts. There were a total of 9 monster beasts, each one of which had reached the 6th stage. However, because they had been sealed for too long and had just awakened, these monster beasts' true strength was not very high. The disciples of the three sects could kill them and obtain the treasures guarded by the monster beast. The yin-yang monster ginseng that Yang Kai had obtained was one of the treasures guarded by a monster beast. However, it was intelligent and felt that something was wrong, so it fled in advance. The two sisters chased it all the way here, where they met Yang Kai and obtained their own opportunity. When we left, 8 of the 9 monster beasts had already been killed, leaving only one in the central location. That one is stronger, probably at the peak of the 6th stage. For the time being, no one dares to have any ideas about it. Hu Jiao laughed. For the treasures guarded by these monster beasts, the disciples of the three sects have all gone crazy. Hu Mei nodded fiercely. Yes, yes, you don't know how powerful those people were when they stole the treasures. The two of them were now speaking very interestingly. One sentence after another, the connection between them was flawless. It sounded as if they were speaking at the same time, as if they were waiting for the right moment. Not long after, the three of them walked out of the cave together. Just as they walked out, an angry roar came from afar. It was the roar of a beast. The dull sound was like the sound of a war drum, shaking the earth. The three people's expressions changed. Hu Jiao said, "Which side has the guts to provoke it?" According to what she said, the only remaining monster beast was at the peak of the 6th stage. The peak of the 6th stage was equivalent to the peak of the immortal ascension boundary. Even if it had been sealed for countless years and was in a weakened state, it was not something that the disciples of the three sects could resist. During this time, the disciples of the three sects had killed the other 8 monster beasts and suffered heavy losses. If they really faced this monster beast, no one could stop it. They could only be slaughtered. Let's go and take a look. Yang Kai's eyes flashed and he dashed over. Hu Jiao and Hu Mei also used their movement skills and followed closely behind. Not long after, the two sisters were abreast of Yang Kai. Turning his head to look at them, Yang Kai couldn't help but be surprised. He found that the two people's breathing rate was exactly the same while running. He didn't know what kind of mysterious footwork contained, but it actually allowed the weakest of them, Hu Jiao to keep up with her sister's speed without the slightest sign of breathlessness. What kind of opportunity did they obtain in the cave? It actually had such a miraculous effect. Yang Kai stared at them for a long time. The beauty on the left couldn't help but blush. "Why do you keep looking at us? Are you Jiao or Mei?" Yang Kai really couldn't tell. The beauty giggled, her eyes fluttering. "I'm Mei." The other beauty quickly said, "I'm Mei." "Sister, don't talk nonsense. Why are you calling me sister? You're the sister." The one on the left suddenly became anxious. "Don't mess around. He really can't recognize us." "I'm not messing around. Sister, don't confuse him." Yang Kai felt dizzy and almost fell down. The two sisters suddenly laughed together. This laugh immediately made Yang Kai realize that he was played by them. He couldn't help but feel helpless and could only keep silent. "I was just joking. You won't be angry, right?" It was unknown whether it was Hu Jiao or Hu Mei who asked. Yang Kai shook his head. "Then why are you so serious?" Smile. Yang Kai dryly coughed, his expression cold as he ignored them. After running for dozens of miles, the three of them finally arrived at the location of the beast's roar. Looking closely, not only was Yang Kai stunned on the spot, but even Hu Jiao and Hu Mei were also stunned. Not far in front of them, there was a huge turtle-shaped monster beast. It was more than 100 feet tall and 300 feet long. Its body was like a moving hill, running and trampling on the ground. With every step it took, the ground trembled incessantly. On its back was a thick carapace with deep grooves and crisscrossing patterns that seemed to tell the vicissitudes of time. On its back was a long tail like a meteor hammer. Its speed was not very fast, but every step it took covered a distance of more than 100 feet. Its mountain-like body rampaged in the vicinity, and its tail swung back and forth like a meteor hammer, bringing with it an unparalleled force, bringing with it gusts of fierce wind. Roars constantly came out from its mouth. In mid-air, hundreds of people were fiercely attacking, but no one was able to stop its pace. With an invincible momentum, every attack and roar made everyone tremble in fear. Welcome to Immortal Cultivation Audiobooks, your gateway to the mystical world of Xianxia. Dive into legendary tales of martial arts, spiritual growth, and immortal ascension. Here, we bring you full-length English audiobooks of the best Wuxia and Xianxia stories, from young prodigies to ancient sect wars. Perfect for fans of Against the Gods, Martial World, and tales of demons and gods.